Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to I think what is the first, face-to-face video from Yorkshire AV, where you're getting to see the voice and the face behind the camera. My name's Lee, and it's my business here, and I'm very, very proud to welcome you to hopefully the first in a multi-part series of home cinema building, and with that today's discussion topic, which is Perlisten audio speakers. And today's going to be an interesting video, as I'm going to walk you around the evolution of my demonstration facility here. We're based in, equidistant between York and Doncaster, Leeds and Hull, and we are, for all intents and purposes, an online and an in-store retailer. We're a bricks and mortar store here. But a big part of what we have done previously and what we're doing going forward is obviously installation business. And with that, we've been looking at what can we do to differentiate the product set, the types of installs we're doing, and obviously with that, the experience that the customers have. And this is all about, giving the best performance and the best value for money when it comes to dedicated cinema environments. And today I'm coming, live to you from one of our demonstration rooms, and as this series unfolds, we're going through the 2-channel room, through the headphone room and the general store area, and bringing you some great videos, hopefully, and interesting content against HiFi and AV, be it a standard 5.1 system with a Marantz or a Yamaha or a Denon or an Emotiva amplifier, and your standard, freestanding products or on-wall products, right through to what this room is, which is, a very specialist environment, and it's the type of environment where, we actively encourage customers who are, considering pursuing a dedicated cinema room to come and see your local installer or your local retailer and really get to grips with what the products are, what they all do, how they operate. Because one thing is absolutely for certain, everything sounds different, every room sounds different, and with that, you need to really qualify the product set that you're looking to buy, and obviously the components that go with the products as well. Make sure that you're absolutely guaranteeing yourself that it's going to look, sound, and give you the experience that you're looking for. Now, today's video is very much about my showroom here. Not the end-to-end, not the entire build behind it. That's something which will come over time. The room, like many AV enthusiast room, is far from finished. And again, this week we've got quite a few things that are happening to again improve the experience that's happening in store. But it's more the evolution, of the sonic performance of the speakers, and what's been a 3-year adventure for me and my small team from when we first took this property on, where we had a very, very interesting, good quality 5.1 in-wall experience system in here. That evolved to 2-channel ATMOS, 4-channel ATMOS, 7 channels at ear level, 2 subwoofers, 6 channels height, and now we're able to offer in the room a full 9.2.6 experience, and that is with Perlisten speakers. Now, we were approached by Primare AV, who's the UK distributor for some very high-end audio brands, and they said, look, we've got a product which is going to be game-changing. And typical salesman, obviously, yeah, okay, Mark, what's going to be different this time? He said, no, this is a really, really special product. And all of a sudden, Facebook and Instagram and all the industry feeds were very much talking about this new company which had started up from nowhere, that was bringing something very, very unique to the market. Thx Dominus Certification was something which was obviously very, very new. And what that is, there are multiple levels of Thx certification. I'll pop them in the screen here alongside me for a second. And they're in-wall, they're freestanding, they're subwoofers, all in some configuration achieve Thx Dominus status. And with that, it's about very, very high speaker pressure levels, which obviously we're looking to try and generate in big and dedicated cinema rooms, but with extremely low distortion levels. And that's really been the focus of what we've been trying to achieve in my demonstration facility, is how do we get to a position whereby we're able to really crank the volume and enjoy a really cinematic completely immersive experience, but without the room caving in. And what I mean by that is, typically with standard speakers that we've had in here before from a range of manufacturers, the sound has always got to a point whereby either the room is distorting, or the acoustics and the reflections, everything that's going on in the room is making you, wince a little bit, having to reach for the volume control and just turn it down somewhat. Even after hours and hours and hours of endless calibration, there always becomes a point whereby you're not happy with the sound. And what Perlisten do is they've got a very, very unique array, a DPC array as they call it, and it's surrounded with a tweeter and obviously two mid modules, top and bottom of it, but the waveguide and the dispersion profile is incredibly narrow. And what that means is that when you're in an ear level environment or a stereo environment or whatever type of situation you found yourself, speaker positioning becomes really important. But when you get it right, the output performance is like nothing I've ever heard before. And I've heard some really, really expensive systems in my time, some very well put together systems, but the Perlisten solution itself really does bring something very, very different. And there's been loads of reviews online giving these things, a lot of hype and a lot of good press, and I think that's really well justified when you start to hear the products. And that's why I've taken the plunge, I guess, and made the investment in the R Series system that I've got now in my cinema room. And that consists of an R5i LR, which is an in-wall Thx Dominus certified product across the LCR. That's behind my Screen Excellence acoustic screen right there in front of me. I've then got to my side surrounds, I've got the S4i, gain I for installation, LCRS. And then behind me, as you can see over my shoulders, I've actually gone for the on-wall R4S, the surround speakers. And that's purposeful so that when customers are in here, they're able to actually see some of the technology that's taking place. If it's just all fabric, which is what we're having a lot of our demonstration rooms of old, it could be any product behind there. We're now actively putting them on display because we think they need to be talked about. They need to be explained what's going on and how this technology works. So with that, let's have a look at some of the in-wall products that I've got here on display, and obviously the on-wall products. And I'll give you a bit of an introduction as far as what's in the cinema room as well, in terms of the wider technology. So here on my side surrounds, we've got the S4i LCRS. Now, these in-wall products can be obviously installed in-wall behind acoustically transparent material, in-wall on display like they are here, and they do come with a mounting grill as well, which allows you to obviously cover the speaker up, particularly important if you've got small children who've got an absolute obsession with poking fingers through tweeters. But it does come with a full range of different installation options. Now, all of the Perlisten speakers are sealed. They all have an aluminium backing on them, which means that you end up with very consistent, repetitive results. You're not leaving it to chance in terms of the volume of the space between the studs and the cavity, and obviously with that the amount of insulation and acoustic control that's required to get a consistent sound from speaker to speaker. So that's very handy. A lot of manufacturers have similar products, but not always in the surrounds. Typically that's more in the LCRs, not always in the products that are designed here for the surround. We are led to believe that in the summer of this year there will be some on-wall boxes released from Perlisten for both the R and the S series. Important point to note in that the S4, which is the signature range, the range above with a beryllium tweeter, and the reference series, which is what I'm running here, all have the same cutout. So there's a nice and easy upgrade path for customers who are going from one type of product set to another, if they ever fancy to upgrade within the brand. But we're having them on display just so that we can talk about them and obviously give customers some a bit more information around what's happening with this DPC array and this actual hybrid proprietary driver that they've created here as well. But the MTM or this DPC array, if you look at some of the stats online, what you'll find is that the actual horizontal dispersion is kept very, very tight. Now, typically, when you're listening to dialogue and sharp action, for example, you can find that speakers will tend to disperse quite quickly across the soft dome or across the actual tweeter module itself. And with that, you end up hearing much more of that, what should be very direct and focused sound, more around the room. The actual horizontal dispersion and waveguide characteristics are such that actually it's kept almost laser focused towards you over a long distance. And that means that positioning is very important. You don't want to be above or below the listening level. You want to be at the listening level with the position of the speakers. But secondly, in terms of the amount of detail that you start to achieve in the cinema room, it becomes not overwhelming. It's incredible how much information is there in a scene that you're not always hearing. And I think a prime example of that is something that we achieved at the weekend, and that was on A Quiet Place. The basement scene is much loved by a load of AV enthusiasts. It's got fantastic all-around ATMOS experience, really low bass, but there's a lot of little nuanced details which you may hear, but what we found was that they become increasingly more obvious. And with that, it really adds to the immersion. So in the background, as Emily Blunt sets the kitchen timer, you can hear just this tick, 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 tick in the background. It's really, really quiet, but it's there. And when you're dialing it up to maybe 90-95 decibels, which is where we were listening, it becomes really prominent. And it's really exciting that there's actually a load more information in these films that we're watching that we're not always able to pull out, as it were. Now, the DPC is all around the mid-module, the tweeter module, and the mid-module again. So with that, we're not just relying on the core woofer to look after the mid-range and the soft silk dome tweeter to look after the high frequency. There's a natural crossover between the three, and again, that just allows for a much more enriched experience. These can be installed behind a screen and be used as an LCR in a smaller room. Our cinema room here is 4.2 metres wide by 4.8 metres long. So arguably we possibly could get away with these, but we wouldn't be able to achieve the projection and the speaker pressure level that we want at the listening space, which is why we've gone for the larger S5s behind the screen itself. This grill itself and these rubber grommets, this all pops off. So to actually install these speakers, there are 4 screws, PZ2s I believe, or maybe PH2s. And they snap the legs out around the back of the actual unit itself, and obviously with that you've got a standard installation depth of as far as about 95mm concerned. So if you've got a CLS stud work and you've then got standard plasterboard on top of there, you'll find that these are dead easy to install. They are heavy. These are weighing about 16 kilos each. The LCR that I've got are about 20 kilos each, so there's a lot of speaker there. But these have really brought the surround channel to life for us personally. So after the in-wall surrounds, we then move on to the rear surrounds. These are the on-wall R4S. The S series, the signature series above, has the exact same type of product, exact same dimensions again, exactly same pattern on the back for mounting. Speaker cable location again makes the upgrade path incredibly easy, and then once you become familiar with the brand, you recognise some of the differences between them. So in this system here, the tweeter module is down low, and it's obviously all angled forward as well. It means that one has to be mindful in terms of the installation location of these. If you were to draw a laser level across a room and you end up with your tweeter at a standard level, for example, you'll find that the speaker appears to be higher on the wall, and that's to be expected. It's so that if you've got cinema seating like we've got, and you're in a situation whereby the seats recline, all of a sudden this becomes in line with the actual ear height itself. So speaker placement, obviously incredibly important as far as home cinema is concerned, but this angle design just helps installation to be, I guess, a little bit easier. You're able to direct the actual location of the sound towards a listener, as opposed to it being flat to the wall and it flying straight by. You have to have these really low down, which compromises the sound when it comes to obviously the speaker chair, the actual cinema chairs. in a normal upright position. So again, a lot of thinking and thought process into the physical design of these speakers. The cabinet is absolutely solid, and that's one thing that I cannot get over enough about this entire product range itself, is just how well built these are. That the gloss is an interesting discussion topic on some of the forums. Obviously for a cinema room, high gloss black equals reflections. They are bringing out, certainly across the signature range, you can pre-order or you can order a matte finish as well as other colours. They do a piano ebony, both in satin and in high gloss, and they also do this now in a matte finish. The Reference series, we're still waiting to see what the evolution is of this product set. There's still a lot of things that's coming out. For example, we've got in-ceiling speakers coming out, hopefully towards the summer this year as well, in both R and S series. But yeah, the high gloss black, if it's behind you, it's not so much of a problem. But when it comes to subwoofers, as I'll show you in a second, that does become a little bit more, I guess, of an actual challenge. And that's something which we all need to be mindful of, is subwoofer placement in relation to projectors and in close proximity to cinema screens. When it comes to subwoofers, we'll talk about the R series, of which there are two subwoofers. There's the R210, which is a dual 10-inch drivers, and they're mechanically out of phase. If you were to run just R210s in the room, you would require 4 of them for Thx Dominus Certification. And then there's the R212, 2 dual, 12, dual 12-inch output there as well, which both support 3 kilowatt peak output. And in the R212, you only require 2 in your room for Thx Dominus Certification. As we've got the configuration now, we've got 7 channels at ear level, and they're all R series, and I've got dual R212s, which obviously give me that Dominus certification within the room, should I go down the route of having the room certified. It changes too much to go down that type of cost and expense, but in terms of the experience, one can really get a flavour of what happens in these, really well built environments. Now here on the back we can see some of the inputs. So 12 volt trigger, or 3 to 12 volt trigger should I say. We've got a dual input and a dual output, so if you need to daisy chain your subwoofers you can do so via RCA. My understanding is that in the actual amp section of here, both inputs left and right are down to mono, so it really makes no odds if you go into 1 or into 2. And it's the same with the XLR inputs here as well. 2 XLR inputs and obviously 2 outputs if you're daisy chaining. Make sure you got the right voltage set. If you're inside the UK, you want to be at 230 volts, and you've got a standard 3-pin IECC13 connector on here as well. Again, at this moment in time, only available in gloss black. Is that a problem? We see reflections. It doesn't spoil the experience for us, but it's something that we are aware of. But some form of fabric over the top of these is not untoward. In fact, recently up in Scotland, the customer's done exactly that, just to get rid of some of the reflections, again due to proximity of the subs to their screen. So hopefully this gives a bit more of a better visibility of the gloss. Is it distracting? No, to be fair. Once you get immersed into the screen itself, you're no longer worried about what's happening as far as the side reflection. But it's something to be mindful of, and obviously there are workarounds as far as that is concerned. If you look through the range, you'll see there's an R7 tower, there's an R5 tower, there's an R5M, which is effectively this configuration in a monitor speaker environment. There is the R4B, which is the bookshelf speaker, which is beautiful and heavy. And then there is the on-wall surrounds, and then the entire range of the installation speakers. So we're opting for the R5Ts for our wides. We couldn't go with R7Ts, they'd be overpowering the LCRs. But effectively this is an LCR speaker, which are sold individually and can be put behind a screen as well. We've elected to go with the R5s. We've got a cabling channel going down here shortly once the fabric's replaced, and that will obviously give us access to hot wiring as required, and then selecting the 9.2.6 profile from within the Lyngdorf, and that'll give us a very, very exciting experience for customers who have got a bigger space. In this size room, I probably wouldn't go for wides, but it'd be interesting to see what the R5T brings to the table as far as that experience is concerned, and obviously at a significant cost increase as well. Now, Reference Series isn't the most expensive product set on the world. If you are going for subs and 9 speakers at ear level, then yes, it's going to start to rack up, but a lot of people will treat this in a modular fashion. They'll get their LCR and maybe the surrounds done first, then maybe they'll go wides, rear surrounds, ATMOS later down the line. But one thing is for certain, and that is that the smiles which put on people's faces, whoever's been in the demonstration room or for those customers who've had installations from us already, is well warranted. And with that, make sure you read about the Dominus Den in the Home Cinema Choice magazine. That was an S Series installation, which was 9.3.6 that we did for a lucky customer down in Essex, and that was great fun. And having had that one professionally calibrated now, sounds absolutely unreal, sounds fantastic. And again, for customers in the south, we do have access to that room for demonstration purposes as well, if needed. So, with that, I'm going to go and wrap up. So hopefully that's been a useful introduction to Perlisten Reference at least. The next video will be on the Signature Series. In the store I've got a wide range of the Signature Series. I'll bring them in and do a video around what's fundamentally different between the S and the Rs. This room is going through a level of transformation, as I said at the beginning of the week, and with that, the ceiling, which is currently untreated, is going to be covered in our standard Chimera black fabric, with reflection points treated, certainly around the centre beam, and that then leads way for the update to our fibre optic starlight ceiling. Version 1 of that didn't quite go as I'd hoped in terms of the aesthetic, just wasn't to a high enough standard. So we're using this as our sandbox, and with that we're going to be making some significant changes. So that's going to be happening in the next 2 weeks. Later in the summer, we hope then to receive the in-ceiling speakers. The jury's out on do I stay with 6 channel and bring it back to 4. Which would be more consistent with a 7-channel base layer system, but I've really got used to having 6 channels above, and actually the layout is now spot on with the bringing of the seat forward, so I'm probably going to try and, if I can afford to, keep the 6 channel in here. Take a look at our website, yorkshireav.co.uk. We're an authorised retailer of all the brands that we feature both in this video and obviously online. We obviously offer an installation service, so that installation service can be anything from design and support right through to, you just write us a check and we look after everything end to end, from design, placements, aesthetics, carpets, lighting, everything. The couple of things I would say is, this equipment needs to be demoed. Please try and find your local retailer for Perlisten. I think there's maybe 8 or 9 across the country. You're welcome to come to our demonstration facility. We're open Tuesday to Saturday, and I'd be more than happy to give you a tour, and obviously with that a good demonstration across some of my favourite clips from films, as well as your own content as well. In terms of subwoofer choices, I offer a full design service as far as which subwoofers to install for optimum response rate within room. If you go to head and buy the subwoofers, we don't charge for that service, but if you just want some consultancy, by all means drop me an email, info@yorkshireav.co.uk, and we can draw up a full room design using some of our tools, and with that make recommendations as far as which products are going to give you the best outcome. As always, I tend not to focus on brands when I'm doing designs. I tend to start off with requirements, and I think that's something which is really important to mention in this day and age. You know, yes, we have a number of brands that I could offer my customers for installation, from DALI, which is what this room was previously in their Phantom series. We have access to monitor audio right the way up to Platinum. We are a Platinum dealer. We have ELAC, we've got Klipsch, we've got Perlisten, JBL, Ascendo. There's a wide range of products that we have access to, but it also comes down to requirements. You know, what are the speaker pressure levels you want to achieve, what levels of overhead, that drives the amplification requirements based on speaker sensitivity. So we're normally led by requirements, but if people have got an affinity to a particular brand, obviously we can incorporate that into the design. But as it stands right now, you know, Perlisten Audio have done something really special with these speakers, and I'm more than happy to represent them in the store. And obviously, you know, you guys, as far as having access to these environments for a good old listening session, that's no worries whatsoever. Just come on down, come and see us, and we'll see what's happening. This is Lee from Yorkshire AV. Thank you so much for your patience, your time. Hopefully you found this video informative. I am not a reviewer by any way, shape or form. I am an enthusiast installer come retailer. I tend to say it as it is. I'm a Yorkshireman after all. So with that, you know, you'll always get honest advice from me. If something's not right, I will say it's not right. I'll always put forward the best solution for you, even if it means remaining where you are. But until next time, I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of this film, have a cup of tea, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you.